All right, guys, we are live again on another edition of Muscle Discord with IFBB Pro Phil Clahar. Man, welcome back to the show live this time. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, you were on the show prior to stepping on the stage at the Masters Olympia. You had just won the Orlando, and I think that's when you came on the show. So I always said I wanted to have you back on so we can discuss what your plans are for 2024. And so I'm excited to kind of catch up and see what's cooking under the Phil camp and where we're headed for 2024. And again, so you are currently 50? Because I know last year when I talked to you, like you were 49, but I know your
No, I'm
exact
still
birth.
49.
You're
I'm
still
still 49. I
49.
turned 50 in June the 15th.
Okay, so you're in this year, you're 50. So it's the title's okay with the graphics I made.
Yeah.
This is crazy. We'll talk about that too a little bit, but so you did the 2023 Mr. Olympia, and how did you feel about the show? How did you feel about the package that you brought to that show?
I mean, the show was great. I can't complain about that. I mean, just the whole setup, the process. Of course, me doing the Olympia for the first time, doing the 2 days was a little difficult for me to get adjusted to. Um, the package I brought was okay. It wasn't what I brought to Romania. Romania, I was really in good condition, except for the supposedly extended stomach so they said I had in Romania.
Well, let's
Um,
let's take a look here. I'm going to share my screen. I got the Olympia photos here. So, what do you think? And let's not forget this: the lighting at the Olympia was really shitty. Okay, it was
yeah,
dark and just like terrible. So, what do you think? To me, what I can see is you look a little flatter, not as full as you did at the Orlando. What is your take on kind of what happened there?
no, I'm 100% on board. I mean, my wife even said it that I was flat in prejudging. It just,
Yeah.
to get ready for the Olympia was a struggle because you got to understand I had a very long season. So I'm used to doing shows back to back, as in, 2 weeks apart, 1 week apart.
Yeah.
When we decided to start the journey for the year with Orlando, because originally it was supposed to be Puerto Rico, and then Puerto Rico fell through because they're no longer or doing is doing Puerto Rico. We had to pace our time, so we had Orlando. Then we had about I want to say about 7.5 weeks, if not 8, to get ready for Romania. I put everything I had into that Romania prep because, of course, I was coming off of a big win for myself
Yeah.
in Orlando, and winning the Masters was my game plan.
Okay.
Training went well, prep went well, except for towards I think 2 weeks before I got the leg infection, but that healed up by the time we got to Romania, and I just put everything in it.
Yeah.
Um, Honestly, I just burnt out
Okay.
after Romania. Just with the long traveling, the delays going and coming back was bad. We got stuck in Boston because our flight left us because it was a storm in Tampa. So our flight left us, so we were stuck getting a hotel to stay in Boston. By the time I got home, I slept for days, man. I couldn't even train
Yeah.
for 1 week just from the jet lag and everything like that. Once we started to prep, I just noticed that things just wasn't going. I wasn't clicking on all cylinders, but I just wanted to finish the year. I mean, this is the Olympia.
Hmm.
I have to do everything I can do to make it, but the prep was not 100%. I was burnt out, and I really had to dig deep to push myself.
Yeah.
At one point, I just didn't want to do the Olympia, but Blue's a great coach, and he said, "Just push through, man. Just get there. This is the big thing. We're stepping on the Olympia stage." I pushed through, and of
Yeah.
course, with some of the nerves being there and a little bit of stress and stuff like that, I could have been much better. I mean, I wasn't disappointed, but
Well,
I could have been much better and a little bit more tighter and much fuller. And if you look at the two shows compared to the Olympia,
yeah.
I mean,
Look at there.
it's a big difference. My legs for the Olympia just wasn't, my quads wasn't popping like they should have been.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, I made it. I jumped on the stage. I had fun. We had a blast. talking to all the athletes and stepping on the stage and just, enjoying myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's experience. You made it to the Olympia. That's every like competitive bodybuilder's dream in most sense cases, is to make it to the Olympia. So you made it to Olympia. I think when Ronnie Coleman did his first Olympia, he was last place or something like that. So I mean, it's it's part of the process sometimes. But I mean, looking back at your Masters Olympia, let's talk about the Masters Olympia because you went in there to win that show, right? And you
Yeah,
came in third. I thought it was second, but I looked at it back and it was third.
it was
Who
third.
who came in second?
Max Charles, he beat me by
Max
one
Charles,
point. 1 point
1 point.
I got beat by.
Man, and then Kamal Argarni took the show there.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts? What is your thoughts on that show? Speak freely on that. Like,
You
what
know,
happened there?
Kamal came in great.
Yeah.
I think Kamal being shorter, structurally a lot of things flowed, but he did, my opinion, he did have a thick waist. His waist was a
Mhm.
little blocking from the front. His conditioning was very well. I brought razor conditioning. My
Yeah.
conditioning was actually way better than Orlando. My glutes was striated from the side. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I was just popping, except for, like I said, with the antibiotics trying to control the midsection. But I still think I did pretty damn good with everything going on.
Yeah.
Uh, with the midsection, when I was told that's what I got, I basically got beat because of my stomach. That's what was relayed to me by that 1 point. I mean, that was a big, big dagger. Don't get me wrong, Max came in great. Max is we've been competing against each other for a very long time. But I still believe I edged that show out. But I mean, I'm not the
Mm.
judge, and they made the decision, and that's what it is.
Yeah. I think that, like your lat spread is ridiculous. Uh, I had you winning that show. I just think because your overall symmetry, flow, conditioning, and then your size comparison to Kamal and even Max should have been enough to push you over the top there, but it just didn't end up that way, unfortunately. But hey, you're coming back, and we're glad to see that. And do you want to announce the shows that you're planning on doing this year?
Yeah, Chicago. I did Chicago back in 2020. Tim Garner promotes a great show. I wanted to do it last year, but I just had so many other shows planned. I did not do it. But we are doing it this year, and we're gonna sneak into Tampa. That's 2 weeks prior, so that's perfect. That's my hometown. That's my backyard. Not even 10 minutes away from where I live. And then I was welcome to come back to the Texas. The promoters want me to come back there. They said they like my structure, that they like my flow. I
Yeah.
didn't go last year, so yeah, we're gonna finish the year in Texas.
So Chicago and Texas, the two
Yeah,
shows. When is the
perfect.
Chicago? When is the Chicago Pro? How many weeks out?
Chicago is the second week of July,
Okay.
and then Tampa is 2 weeks after that because it's the first weekend of August.
Okay.
And then Texas is just a week, the following weekend. So we'll probably fly out on a Tuesday right to Texas a little bit early.
Okay. And so you're doing Chicago,
Tampa.
Tampa, Texas. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so what are you doing differently this year than you did last year for your competitions? Do you have a different mindset, different training routine, different diet? Like what's happening there?
Yeah, a lot of the things we're Blue really never does the same routine or the same prep. He never does.
Okay.
We tried to stay in under 300 pounds. So we did that. Um, I can put on weight very easily, but
Yeah.
it's harder for me at my age to come down from 301, 303. It's just too much for me. So we stayed in the around, I want to say 289, about 291, around there. Um, we just maintained that. My training is definitely different. I
Yeah.
do a podcast every Wednesday, and my philosophy this year is that I'm just not that I ever pound crazy weight, but I noticed that age is starting to set in when it comes to the weight training, and I just
Yeah.
got to think of just more reasonable weight and reasonable training. So basically, it's just basically just keeping the muscle stimulated
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put on any more size. You know, I was also told by Steve, it's not necessarily size I need.
Yeah.
Um, our main focus right now is just to come in much, much better condition.
Okay.
But that's our game plan. It's not about size. It's working off of my structure, coming in better condition, and just beat what I brought last year and see where everything falls this year.
So you're in the 280s right now.
Yeah, wait, I'm about a two right now. I'm about 287.6 right now.
Okay. And do you think you'll be any heavier on stage this year versus last
I
year?
want to honestly, I want to come in lighter. I
Okay.
think. Let me see. Orlando, I was about around 256, 258.
Okay.
Texas, I'm not Texas, Romania, we came down. I was about 250, 250, 252.
Yeah.
That's roughly where I'm comfortable at. Um, the Olympia, I skyrocketed back up again to about 260. So my comfort
Okay.
zone, especially like when
Yeah.
back in 2020 when I was battling Ian and Steve Cookos, I was about 248 pounds, but I
Okay.
looked at
Yes.
70. So
Yeah.
for me, the more leaner, more condition I get, I'm going to sacrifice a little bit of size. But like Flex Wheeler said, you sacrifice size when you drop down in conditioning, but that conditioning gives you the illusion of being bigger.
Yeah.
So yeah, we want to definitely come down a little bit in weight. So we're in a good place. Like I said, we were coming from in the threes
Yeah.
last year. So now coming from lighter weight, everything is flowing. I mean, I've only been on a diet not even 10 days yet,
Okay.
and everything is coming into place
Awesome.
already. So I think this is going to be. I don't think I know for a fact it's going to be a good year. I just got to stay focused and stay, you know, leaned in and follow the process.
Yeah. And so if you come into 250s, like you're improving still. Like people don't, how long have you been competing again? Your competitive career as a
I've been
pro?
competing for a while, but I retired in 2008 for 9 years. I think that's the key that preserved my body. I had retired, and I came back in around, I want to say about 2015, 16 is when
Yeah.
I started making my journey to come back. And then I went pro in 2017.
Okay. So you've been competitive for 10 years now, right?
Yeah.
Um, but you had a 9 year hiatus from it. So really you're fresh. You're still new on the scene in a sense for competitive years wise. And that's why you're able to be like you're 50 years old and have the physique that you have. Like usually at 50, unless you're like Dexter Jackson, there's not a lot of pros that
Yeah.
have the size that you have and the freshness to your muscle at your age. It's
Yeah.
quite astonishing to see.
Well, as growing up, as a young kid, I was always a big kid. I mean, I was going into nightclubs at 16 years old, never got carded. So I was
Okay.
already genetically, I'm a big guy.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the blessing genetics I have. I got it from my dad's father because my dad was about 5'6". He was very short,
Okay.
5'5", 5'6". So I think that's a blessing when you're genetically, a big guy, and I don't have to push as much supplements as an IFBB pro. It works out better health wise for me.
And how tall are you again?
Six
Five,
foot.
6 foot. Okay. So bigger, one of the bigger bodybuilders on stage. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you back on stage. I did have a couple questions about training. So how many days per week are you working out and how many sets and reps per set are you doing right now?
I do 2 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off.
Okay.
That's my split, and everything range between 10 to 15 reps.
Okay. 10 to 15, 10 to
About three
15 reps,
sets.
three
Yeah, three
sets.
sets. My first exercise, warming up. I got two warm up sets, and then I go into my working sets. But after that, I don't keep warming up. I just, I believe once you're warm,
Yeah.
we don't need to keep doing filler sets. I just get the workout, get to the grind, and get it over with.
Okay. And cardio wise, you're 10 days in. Are you doing any cardio now or do you wait and then add in cardio?
No, actually, this was something different this year.
Okay.
To keep my body fat down a little bit and keep from putting on the weight because genetically, my family, they're big bone. We could put weight on easy. I
Yeah.
mean, in my past, even as an amateur, I've gotten up to about 310 pounds, 315 pounds.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we had to keep the cardio at an hour. So we did a 30 minutes fasted and then 30 minutes after working out. And we kept that through the whole off season.
Wow.
Nothing
Wow. Okay.
crazy. Nothing
Yeah.
crazy. You know what I mean? Elliptical, the bike here,
Yeah.
treadmill here. But it worked. So right now we're just sticking to the same remedy, half hour fasted, half hour after workout, and hopefully we can stay there. Because in the past we've made it up to almost 2 hours. You know
Wow.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
we're trying to avoid uh, the impact on my legs to going up to 2 hours. We're trying
Yeah.
to avoid that.
And have you ever been injured before? Like, how do you stay injury free, especially at your age? Are you training differently, not as heavy?
Yeah,
And you kind of said that already, but
you know, man, honestly, I've never gotten injured, knock on wood, not one time. The
yeah.
only injury I've had from is wrestling in the regional finals because I was a wrestler and
Okay.
I tore ligaments and tendons in the finals wrestling. As a weightlifter, no injuries at all. I'm just not big. Now, when I was younger, I was a little reckless, you know, doing
Yeah.
350 behind the neck presses and all that mess. But as I got, you know, up in age, you know what I mean, I keep the weight moderate and
Okay.
I just focus more on time on attention and just train smart. I think that you know quality over quantity is my game plan.
Okay. And diet wise, I know we talked about this on the podcast last time you were on, but maybe things have changed. What's your protein, carbs, fat intake now?
Protein is about 9 to 10 ounces in between
Okay.
chicken, fish. I think we have two fish meal, one lean ground beef meal. I do a shake in the morning. So yeah, protein is about 10 to 11 ounces. Carbs is rocking a little bit under 300 grams right now.
Okay.
And then what he does is, as we go on, depending as needed, we start pulling back gradually on the carbs. He's brought me down the lowest. I think last year for Orlando was very tough. I was down to probably 110 grams of carbs for the day.
Okay. And question for you. You want your opinion on this? I don't know if you've been following the whole Samson Dowda thing, where he's
Yeah,
having struggling with his conditioning from the back, especially. And you've had striated glutes, so you've been able to do it. You know what it takes to get it. Do you think it's a genetic thing with Samson, or do you think he's not suffering enough for it? What do you not?
I've made my comments going into both of the Arnolds
Mhm.
regarding Simpson. I love Simpson, man.
Yeah.
He welcomed me really well. Congratulated him for the excellent season at the Olympia. Great guy. His
Yeah.
wife, freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that Samson needs to suffer a little bit. I think the size. I mean, I can understand how he's thinking and
Mhm.
how most bodybuilders are thinking. They want that size and that super fullness, you know, because the judges look for that. But I think if Samson drops about 10, possibly 10 or a little bit more pounds, uh, drop that carbs down like they did coming into the show and just bringing that cardio in earlier.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard, you know, I don't know if it's speculation that he
Mhm.
does probably about 30 minutes the last 5 weeks of his prep. Um, I've heard Milos in the podcast saying that he needs to do more cardio and he
Yeah.
needs to just suffer. And I think that's it. I think if he stopped focusing on the size and really just he wasn't bad. He's about 8 to 10% better in the
Yeah.
UK.
Okay.
But there's no genetic nothing. The glutes can come in. It's just suffering and cardio. That's the part.
Yeah. So that's kind of it's interesting because he's got all but the potential in the world, but he just doesn't want to go that next 10% that you need to suffer in order to get those glutes in because he's worried about dropping that size maybe. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Samson Dowd if he can come into the Olympia with the glutes improved. They don't have to be peeled like Derek Lunsford, but just, you know, something's there to show the judges you're bringing in that conditioning and you're putting in the work because so far he's not been able to really show that from the back. Even from the front in some areas, he's not really that hard, grainy. You even have the grainy hard look in that dried out, paper thin skin, right?
Yeah,
You bring that look too. So
but that's the fish, man. I don't know.
okay, let's talk about that.
I
What type of protein
yeah,
sources are you eating?
to come towards the tail end, about the last 5 to 6 weeks, we're all
Yeah.
fish.
See?
Donnie does the same thing with his
Yeah.
athletes, man. That's why
Okay.
Derek, Honey, Sebum, Phil Heath. Phil
Okay.
before never liked to eat a lot of fish, but towards the tail end of Phil Heath's career, he pounded fish. It sucks, but fish brings a different style of conditioning to your skin.
A- And Milo said even on a podcast today that he told Samson like you gotta start eating fish, and Samson's like, I don't like it. I don't want it. I can't eat this.
Yeah,
No.
Nick Walker don't like fish because when we were telling, I think when we did Tampa the year prior, because Nick came to watch the show and he was like, "Phil, you ready?" That's when I came off of that big season against Ian and Steve
Yes.
Kukoc. Um, I was telling him how I was eating fish. He's like, "Oh man, I can't do it." And I don't know how Nick gets so freaking peeled on just chicken. But
Yeah.
let me tell you something. I said, yeah, I eat a lot of fish. It sucks the last 5 weeks of just fish, fish, fish. But you know what? At the end of the day, though, when you want to win and you have that fighter's mentality, you're going to do whatever it takes. And I think that I'm hoping that Samson's direction will change. Even if he stays with his wife or if he gets
Mhm.
a coach that's going to assist him. But here's the thing, though: I see a lot of blame going towards Milos, and I don't like when everybody gives the blame to the coach when the coach could be directing you, but you may choose not to want to do certain things,
Yeah.
and that's a choice. But I can't give a coach the full blame, and I think Milos brought him to where he was at. Without
Yeah.
Milos, I don't think he would have gotten this far.
No.
So I just hope he does make some changes and do his best to come in because I if he does not in this Olympia it's going to be costly.
I think it'd be very costly if he brings that same Samson, like we're used to seeing the same thing over and over again, but he gets away with it because he's got the superior genetics and the look and all that. And he can get third, he can get fourth, third, whatever at the Olympia. But he's not gonna even Nick Walker. I don't think he's gonna get past Nick Walker or Hottie, or Derek at the Olympia this year.
So
I
it's
don't
going to
see
be
it.
even more people in this Olympia. It's going to be, you probably have Big Ramy possibly coming back.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
who just what's Bonac is making his
Bonac.
effort to come back. So it's going to be a much tougher Olympia than last year.
Curry, I think Curry's coming back. He's going to be
Yeah,
starting.
yes,
Yeah,
he's coming back.
and not be in the hospital like he was the day before the show too. So and he still got fourth. So yeah,
That
it's
was
gonna
a
be a battle.
miracle for
That was
him to go
crazy.
through that. Yes, we prayed for him and we prayed for him, but for him to come in, imagine if he didn't end up in the hospital.
Yeah,
It might have been a little different. You
it
know
might
what
have
I
been the
mean?
best version because he was in good shape. I was like, damn, he actually looks good. The glutes were
Yeah.
coming in, and it was like, okay, he's there. So that's impressive to see Curry, and he's up there in age too, right? He's not, Nick
Yeah,
Walker,
and he's
29.
still younger than me. I think he's around, I want to say 40, 43, 44,
Yeah,
around there. So
yeah.
honestly, that's the prime, man. Around that age, he still has a couple more years to go.
Yeah, yeah, this is crazy to think. But it's a lot of it's to do with genetics as well. Like
Yeah.
some guys can't do it at 43. That is their body doesn't look the same, right? But
Oh, it's, not to cut you off. It's good. Listen, I'm not. I don't stroke my ego, man.
yeah,
For what I've accomplished from where I'm at, and not had to compete as much as these other guys or use as much substance or whatever the case may be.
yeah.
I don't think you're going to see too many of these top level guys can push the age to where I've done, Dexter done. It's not easy. So I just don't see it happening, and that's why everything that's a win for me. Just to be able to do what I'm doing, at my age.
Yeah.
What I mean, it's remarkable. You know what? I have so many supporters, man, all over the world. When I went to Romania, the love I got,
Yeah.
I took pictures for almost 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's sweating my butt off because they don't know what air conditioner is up there. Um,
Yeah.
but I have so much love and support, and that's one of the reasons why I've kept pushing. This year we're going to analyze some things, and we'll
Yeah.
see what's going to happen at the end of the year. But nevertheless, if I choose to walk away from the Open, I will be still competing in the Master Olympia if I make
Okay.
it.
So that was okay. I was looking over the side of my questions. Will this be your last year of competing?
This highly possible will be my last year in the Open.
Okay.
I really want to win this Master Olympia. So Jay got in my ear when we were in Romania. I have a lot of people in my ear that wants me to do this Master Olympia. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, this would be. I think it'll be time at the end of the year to walk away from the Open
Okay.
and just focus on the Masters.
And have they announced the Masters this year? Is that
It's going to
confirmed?
be next year.
2025.
Yeah, they
Okay.
wanted to give. Now you have to qualify. Obviously, not us that place in the top three, but
Okay.
they said that people have to qualify now. They're not just going to let you just apply.
Yeah.
And I think that you're going to have to be completely invited. So I think it's going to be a little bit different
Okay.
than last year.
Okay. So, okay. I mean, yeah, I definitely think that Masters Olympia title could be like, can be yours if you keep pursuing it for sure. I don't see anyone. What's the cutoff? What's the age threshold? Is there an age threshold to be? Is it
There
40s or
was
30?
in the beginning, and then they dropped it. I think it was like late 40s and up,
Yeah.
and then they backed it down to 40 and up.
Okay.
Which honestly, it's great, but I think for some of the gentlemen that were there, that was freaking in. I saw some older dudes in there in great condition.
Yeah.
It should be a little bit more divided pertaining to age,
Yeah.
to give everybody a fair shot.
Yeah. I think 45 plus
Yeah,
should be, because you got some pros that, like you said, Brandon Kerr is 43, 44, right? Like you can jump in there and do the Masters, right? So I think you got to push that age up a little bit.
even the Giant Killer is in his 40s. He's 40.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So he could pop into the Masters and do like, right. So push that age up a little bit to make it a little bit more competitive amongst the Masters, amongst guys that are plus 45 plus, I think
right.
for sure. Yeah. Um, when you retire from bodybuilding, say you're doing the Masters in 2025, and then 2026, 2027, maybe you retire from it. How are you going to maintain your physique? Are you going to maintain, I don't think you're going to maintain this size right now that I'm looking
No,
at, but
no.
what's your plan to keep healthy and stay in the game in a sense?
Well, I'm very blessed. I have a TRT company that sponsors me.
Okay. Yes.
So very blessed for that of evolving vitality. So they're gonna definitely keep me where I need to be. But I will downsize. But once again, I mean, even me at 250 pounds is still a big guy.
Yeah.
At 6 foot tall. But yeah, I definitely want to downsize, man, and just stay in really good shape. Really, really good shape. Like I admire Dexter, man. He's still in a remarkable shape. He downsized, but he looks good.
Yeah.
So I want to downsize, and what makes me sometimes, because somebody said to me today, oh man, you told me you want to walk away last year and the year before that. What I
Yeah.
mean? Don't get me wrong, man. It's a hard decision to make because this is what keeps me structured outside of bodybuilding because it
Yes.
it disciplines me to stay in shape, and the fun I have doing it. So that's going to be the tough part, to walk away. But we have 13 grandkids, and I got to
Wow.
think about that, and
Yeah.
I want a long, long life as much as possible that God bless me to have. So. Even my coach is on board. Like, I love Blue. He's actually more than a coach. I mean, we stood on the phone and we just talk, and he was like, "Listen, yeah, we want to hang it up in the open and just go after that Masters, win that Masters, and I just want you to stop after that, just
Yeah.
retire." So
That brings me to a question. And asked this to Nick Walker yesterday on the podcast about having a coach and listening 100% to that coach. And Nick Walker said, I listen to Matt Jensen, but there's some times where I know my own body, and I'll say, I'm going to do this. I want to try this. Are you like that with Blue? Like, are you? He says everything he says, you're doing it, or like, you know what? I know my body. I don't think Blue. I want to do. I want to try this instead. Like, do you listen 100%?
yes, and let me tell you, Matt Jensen is a great coach.
Yeah.
I think Nick has this really, really good bond with Matt Jensen. I mean, he made Nick what he was, to this day.
Yeah.
But the difference, I had a couple coaches in my time, and George Farrell was a really, really good brother to me, and it was a really good coach. But what Blue brings to the table, he's like family.
Mhm.
Um, we sit and talk. Yes, I know my body. I will make suggestions to him, and we meet in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to. I'm paying him for a reason. So, for him now, he knows my body. This is
Yeah.
going to be my second year with him. I listen to everything he tells me because everything he tells me is 100% safe, and I'm completely on board. I've had coaches that I was not on board with, And if they direct me a certain way that I believe is going to be damaging to myself and my health, I will not do it. They will think of doing it, but I will not do it. But
Yeah.
with Blue, it's just different. The way he lays things down and we talk, and I say, all right, listen, through my experience, by doing this a little bit, and it will add what you're doing, and we'll just meet in the middle. So yeah, whatever he instructs, I does. And sometimes I don't
Yeah.
like it, when
Okay.
he really cuts back on my carbs.
Yeah.
Um, because I'm a more fats guy.
Yeah.
But I do it, and he has not failed me yet. I mean, he's
Yeah.
he's done remarkable with me anyway.
Yeah. Is there any, because you've been able to defy age pretty much, are there any supplements you're taking, like not gear wise, just vitamins, minerals, nutrients, anything like that that you take that you would advise people to take that to, help with longevity?
I one thing that I'm taking that I never knew so much about, but once again, being with my TRT clinic, is what is it called? I can't remember the name right now. The basic things I stay on glutamine,
Okay.
EAAs, all my antioxidants things, B, um, B, B, Ds, um,
Yeah.
all my liver support, kidney support, um, glutathione. That's what I
Glutathione.
jumped on. And glutathione, bro, you do about 200 milligrams a week for the detox phase, and then you have your maintenance phase where it's just 200 milligrams once a week. That glutathione is remarkable. It really cleans everything out, rejuvenates your kidneys, your liver.
Hmm.
They even give it to people that's battling cancer. It's really really good.
Is it
Um,
supplement? Like, is it a pill? Is it pill form or is it
no, no,
powder?
they have a pill version, but by the time it hits your stomach, it does nothing with your body digesting it. It's an injectable.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and like I said, you do twice a week, and then after that, you go on to once a week. It burns like a mother fricker, but
Yeah.
let me tell you something. It really helped me through the off season to just detox my body completely. But
Okay.
all the natural supplements that you can take over the counter, I take so many, man. It's hard for me to run them down. If I brought it over to my counter, I would just stack. So just
Yeah.
pills and supplements and omega 3s and all that stuff. It's just a big thing is probiotics. Make sure
Yeah.
big on gut health. I think that if you take care of your gut, everything else is going to fall into play. Just take care of your gut.
What about fiber supplements? You use any fiber? Like, that's my main things. My go-to is my fiber supplements.
I take a right before I go to bed because Metamucil wasn't really doing it
No.
was messing me up. I take Fiberlize by Species Nutrition.
Yep.
Yeah, Dave Palumbo makes some really, really good product, but that
Yep.
Fiberlize is really good. So I'll take that before I go to bed. Of course, the only greens I can eat is spinach and romaine lettuce because all the other ones gases me and bloat me. But I'd
Mhm.
rather take a fiber drink. Um, and that's what I drink is the Fiberlize before I go to bed. And
Okay.
also I do about 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar twice a day.
All right. Okay. All right. If you could give advice to anyone that's up and coming in, the bodybuilding industry, what advice would you give them?
The main thing is as you're coming up in the bodybuilding, regardless of how successful you're going to be, I think that keeping a good head on your shoulders, staying very level-headed,
Yeah.
keeping really, really good people in your circle. I keep a very, very small circle, really good people in your circle, and always think about your safety first. This sport of bodybuilding, as I watch it go on, as I see these young, great athletes up and coming, that abuses supplementation, um, it takes away from time from their life. So I just want, and I would love to, but it's kind of hard because the judges will have to put that into play for people to do it. If you keep rewarding freaky size and all
Yeah.
this craziness, then that's what you're going to get. So good people in your circle, take care of your health, get your blood work done, not once a year. You should be getting your blood work done at least every 6 months. And definitely
Yeah.
right before you start a prep. You need to know where you're at. And then during your prep, you need to get your blood work just to know where you're at with everything else that you're on. Keep your heart I go to the heart doctor, man, and
Yeah.
get all that stuff done. So really taking care of your health and being smart and trying to, bring the best out of yourself as you pursue whatever you want to do. Like me, I don't compete for the money because I lost more money that I actually gained in the sport,
Yeah.
but the life changing of other people by watching me and encouraging a lot of people of different ages is why I've been around this long. You
Okay, I
know,
was going to
it's
ask you, why are you a bodybuilder?
well, it's crazy. I My dad was a professional boxer. So
Yeah.
I started boxing as a teenager and I was very good. I was boxing in the Golden Gloves. Of course, I had a tremendous wrestling career. I was raised by my mom. My dad was never around until my stepdad came into play. So my mom is basically raising, a young man, a young boy to become a man. So, when I was around my dad, we tried the boxing thing, but it felt like I was being forced
Yeah.
to do this. I was good, but everybody knows if you're forcing a kid to do something, sometimes he's not going to be successful at it at all. So I went to college. I did my wrestling thing, and then a lot of people kept pounding me, in these because I used to go to old school gym, Pat's gym, like the hole in the wall gyms,
Yeah.
and everybody's like, "Do you compete?" I was like, "No, I don't compete. I just love working out." In 1999, Ben Hoffman, one of my training buddies at the time, he decided let's do a show in Toms River, New Jersey. It was my first show in 1999, and I did it, and I took second because I didn't have Protan on. I knew nothing about Protan.
Yeah.
Right then and there, I saw the second year I did that show, I met Jay Cutler, Nasser El Somebody, Gunther
Wow.
Shortcam, and
Yeah.
Ronnie Coleman. And Jay Cutler came up to me. He said, "You think about taking this seriously?" I said, "Nah, man, I'm just having fun." And he said,
Yeah.
and I told him in Romania, I said, "You told me that if I'm willing to put everything I have in it, I can go pro." And he said, "Well, I was right." you know.
Yeah.
So that's what made me become a bodybuilder. And then as I got older into bodybuilding, of course, with all the difficulties, it took me what 3, 4, almost 5 years to just get recognized. I mean, I only
Okay.
get competing for 7 years
Yeah.
as a pro.
Yeah.
So to get recognized with the frustrations of not placing and placing eighth and placing fifth and placing fourth, I was ready to walk away quite a few times.
Okay.
Patty, I think in 2020 when I did Chicago, I wasn't just sitting bawling. I was in the crowd just crying. I said, these judges don't understand, like, the money. We spend the same money that everybody else does. And
Yep.
that day I was told I was overlooked and it hurt.
Yeah.
When I was told by a judge that I'm sorry, but you were technically overlooked, I was like, I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm credit card deep in
Yeah.
money, and Patty was like, just take it some time, just think about it.
Yeah.
The following year, we came back guns a blazing, and we did very well. So,
Yeah.
and with the support of everybody else around the world and people in my gym, I just kept fighting. People were like, don't retire yet. You got
No.
more in the tank. So, this year is for the fans, for me to
Yes.
just have fun. I have
Yep.
no pressure, no stress. I'm just going to have fun and close out this open season of bodybuilding the best way I possibly can.
Man, that's awesome. That's it's inspiring too. What you're doing, and this to say that, I'm doing this for fun. Hey, you can still win pro shows. Like you just did that last year, so that's still not off the plate for you to win this year and qualify for the Olympia. Improve on your package and what you did last year at the Olympia. So you're not, you're not done yet. And I really want to see what you can do, especially if you're going to come in tighter in the 250s, what that looks like again, because you looked amazing at the Orlando Pro where you beat Mohammed, I believe. Uh
Hassan, Hassan,
Hassan. Yeah, man.
yeah, that's my boy too. Hassan
Yeah.
is, when I was preparing for that show, I went to a clinic, and some of the judges were, I'm not going to say any names. So I went to the clinic, and then I asked them to take a look at me
Yeah.
just to give me say, hey, do I even stand a chance? Because I knew Hassan was in the show, and I didn't know who else was going to surprisingly pop up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But he's just a big freaking dude. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to out muscle him.
Yeah.
So they told me, they said, Phil, listen, your clavicles and your height. You're not a small dude.
No.
You'll beat him structurally. They said he has not beaten anybody structurally
Yeah.
yet. He's a big dude. So cater to your attributes when you're on that stage and outpose them. Come in
Yeah.
shape, of course, but you got to outpose them and show off what your attributes are and just fight for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just fight for it. And I took the advice and I did that. But the mentality I had going in that show was, even I told Blue, I said, listen, because he kept saying, okay, so we're going to get to the Olympia. That's what he kept saying. So we
Yeah.
got the Romania, which we're going to win. I said, Blue, you don't understand. I have to win Orlando.
Yeah.
There's no doubts about it. That's the attitude I went in with. And it happened. And then, social media is going crazy. And they're like, oh, Clahar's beating him at prejudge. And I said, no. I said, trust me, we got to come in better in the
Yeah.
finals because I was still a little flat
Yeah.
in prejudge. And that's what we've been struggling to nail with me and a lot of other coaches that I've had in the past struggles. I
Prejudge.
would eat thousands and thousands of grams of carbs. And it's just crazy. I only peak in the night show, you know?
Yeah.
So one of the coaches said, whatever you're doing at the night, one of the judges said, whatever you're doing
Start a day earlier or
for the
something like that.
finals, you need
Yeah.
to reverse it and do it for the prejudging. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? To come in full. But and that's the attitude I have this year, even though I'm doing it for fun. Listen, you know what I mean? I'm Olympian regardless, and I already earned my respect from the
Yeah.
judges. I just got to do what I'm supposed to do and come in shape
Yeah.
and show off what I have. And regardless of what show I enter, everybody knows I'm a threat, regardless of what show I enter. You know what I mean? And then it comes down to what shows you pick. You have to be smart about picking the shows.
Yeah.
But I'm welcome to the challenge. I know Texas is going to be tough. I know that Chicago, I'm pretty sure, is going to be tough, and Tampa is always tough. But if
Yes.
you're not willing to go against the best bodybuilders to see where you rank in the
Yeah.
Olympia, then you don't need to be doing it. So I'm going with the same attitude. Our game plan is to make it back to Olympia one more time,
Yep.
and I'm gonna do my best, and Blue's going to do his best, and we're going to bring in the best Jamaican tech that we ever brought
Yeah, man.
before.
Excited for it. That's awesome. Hyping it up too. So another question here before we go. In your opinion, who's the greatest bodybuilder of all time?
Ronnie Coleman.
Ronnie Coleman. And why? I'm going to ask why now, not just take it.
Because, I watched, as a young kid, I watched Ronnie Coleman even when he was a police officer.
Yeah.
And I seen and heard how this guy just kept taking last and last and last and last place, right? And just the determination. I mean, the guy said, I love bodybuilding, because people were like, Kevin LeBron was like, dude, why are you still going? You're not winning anything,
Yeah.
So just his determination and drive and passion,
Yeah.
to watch him come from where he was at, even as a powerlifter at a younger age, that grind and that drive to now show people that, he could be the greatest,
Yeah.
So just that in a nutshell. I've not seen, not knocking Arnold Schwarzenegger, but Arnold did have some assistance, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
from Joe Weider and stuff
Yep.
like that. Ronnie never had, he had to fight. He had to
Yeah.
fight, and he did it. And I just look up to him. I met him in Florida, one of the gyms they opened up, and man,
Mhm.
he's just a great inspiration. It's sad how I see him having to get around.
Yeah.
And the man said he would never change nothing if he had another opportunity to do it
Man.
again.
Yeah.
But I just pray for him, man, and have him continue to push and do what he's doing. But yes, for the work he put in and where he had to come from to become one of the greatest is why I put him as the best bodybuilder.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that. And my first Mr. Olympia that I watched on pay-per-view when it was back on pay-per-view
Yeah.
on TV, like it was crazy, was the 1998 Mr. Olympia. And after I saw that, I was hooked. I was like, man, this is
Was that the
crazy.
one he came in with the crown? Remember he had the king?
No, no, that was I think it was 2003 when he came in the
Okay.
cape and he's King Ronnie because he was dominating. But yeah, this was one in 1998, his first win, Mr. Olympia, where he was smaller looking but shredded and just crazy and
Yes.
just shocked
Yes.
everybody. Yeah. Um, so Ronnie Coleman was my favorite all-time bodybuilder for sure because he loves the gym. That's why he's still with like 8, 10 back surgeries and hips replacements and that can't walk. He's still in the gym and he's like doing a leg press. I don't know how he does it, but he's still doing these crazy exercises, and that just
You
goes to
gotta
show
look
you
at it.
that.
You gotta look at it. I think that before I was getting mad at
Yeah,
him for continuously to do that and then having to go get more and more surgeries. But
yeah,
then you got to look at it. If he stops,
He's gonna,
he may not no longer be here. It's like
yeah,
telling somebody that's been smoking all their life to
yeah,
stop smoking, and then they end
cold
up dying
turkey.
right after they stop smoking because they've been doing it so long.
Yeah,
It's impossible to walk away, and I think that's what gives him life. I truly believe
yes.
that's what gives him life. So continue to do it, man, because I love this. I love to see him every time I see him.
Yeah, he loves it, and he's gonna like you say he's gonna die in the gym. He doesn't care. Like that's his escape. That's what makes him feel good. It makes him feel happy. He doesn't care about how he can't walk. I mean, I'm sure he does. And he's doing everything he can to try and get better with that. But man, it's hard to see because it's he was this powerful image in bodybuilding. He still is, but it's just we love the guy, and you want to see him do well and be healthy and be able to walk again. Maybe he
Yeah,
can. Maybe he can. We're going to see. Hopefully, there's some,
yeah, and that's the what I was telling you. The heavy training. I mean, it's unnecessary. I mean, I watched, Ian. He trained very heavy, and then his
his
back
back.
was lacking. People don't understand more weight is not going to make you. I even said this. Weights don't build muscle; it tears muscle down.
Yes.
Nutrition, rest, and recovery is what builds the muscle back, right?
Yeah.
So why sit here and push all this crazy weight when it's unnecessary? Lee Haney never did it. So many
No.
of these great athletes from back when Lee all said he never trained heavy, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think pounding these heavy weights. Steve Klukas was, he made a comment last year. He did a podcast and he's like, you know, I want to be around because I don't want my knees to go. He's like, I don't know how Clahar does it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. He did say that. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't put no bad luck on me, bro. Don't mention my
Yeah.
name when it comes to knees.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just training smart, man, and preserving all your joints, so you can still live, a healthy life. So everybody should look at that example. These young guys that wants to go crazy with weights and understand that at any given time, anything can go wrong. You could be in that position
Yeah.
of a Ronnie Coleman if you're not careful.
Well, Dorian Yates trained heavy, but it wasn't like record-breaking weight heavy. It was just very intense with heavy weight, but not reckless heavyweight, if that makes
Right.
sense. Right.
Yeah, it does.
And he built that physique. But all right, well, we'll wrap it up here. Just want you to give a shout out to any sponsors you have, your coaching, your business, anything you want to give a shout out to.
Yeah, I would just want to give a shout out to Evolve and Vitality, which is my TRT clinic. They helped a lot of my clients that I coach out, getting their blood work done. Of course, I give a shout out to HD over in
Yes.
Canada. They've been supporting me and been sending me my supplements for years. I think that's one of the big reasons how I stay very healthy. They got very high quality supplements.
Yeah.
I want to thank my home gym that I train, Jonathan Call and Jelly, that runs the Anytime Fitness, that where I train and also run my business out of. Now, of course, my company, Structured Fitness Inc., for personal training as well as coaching. I do coach as well. And of course, I always have to thank, my wife. Without her, I probably would not still be doing what I'm doing or be able to do what I'm doing easier because she covers all the food and keeps me stress free.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, man, I appreciate it, man. It's a big year for you. You got the Chicago Pro, the Tampa Pro, the Texas Pro. So watch out, guys, for Phil Clahar on a stage near you coming soon. I'm excited to see it and make his way back to the Olympia stage. I know you're going to do it. I know you're going to win a pro show this year. I know you're going to do it, man. So excited for
I
you.
appreciate it. I
All right,
appreciate it.
man. We'll catch you
All
on
right,
the
man.
next
Take
one.
care. All right,
Okay.
brother.
Peace. All right, man.